Imagine you're in a high-stakes poker game. The tension in the room is thick. You hold a terrible hand, but you don't flinch. You sit back, completely unfazed, exuding confidence. The other players start doubting their own hands. They hesitate. They fold. Why? Because your composure made them believe you had the winning hand, even when you didn't. This is the power of acting as if nothing bothers you. It's not just about hiding emotions. It's about commanding respect, maintaining control, and winning at life. Now, let's be real. Life is full of situations designed to provoke you. People will test you. They will try to shake you, undermine you, and manipulate you. The moment you react emotionally, you give them power. But if you stay calm, if you show no reaction, you become untouchable. What if I told you the most powerful people in history, from kings to CEOs, all share one psychological secret? They've mastered the art of acting unshaken, even when everything inside them is screaming. They don't react to insults. They don't seek validation. They don't let emotions control them. Instead, they move through life as if nothing bothers them, and that, right there, is their secret weapon. Because here's the truth. The moment people know what triggers you, they own you. Every time you react, whether it's anger, frustration, or even visible excitement, you hand people a blueprint to manipulate you. The moment someone sees they can get under your skin, you've already lost. Emotional outbursts, power leaks. The less people know about what affects you, the more control you have. Carl Jung called this the persona, the mask we show the world to protect our true selves. Carl Jung understood this deeply. He believed that your emotions are a reflection of your unconscious mind. If you can master how you react to the world, you gain a level of inner power that most people will never achieve. But this isn't about faking it. This is about strategic emotional control. But how do you do it? How do you train yourself to act as if nothing bothers you, without suppressing emotions or becoming numb? Let's break it down step by step. Here's something most people don't realize. Life is a constant test. That boss who criticizes you in front of others, he's testing your confidence. That friend who makes passive-aggressive comments, they're testing your boundaries. That ex who suddenly texts you after ignoring you for weeks, they're testing your emotional control. And here's the harsh reality. The moment you react emotionally, you lose. Why? Because now they know what gets to you. They know your weak spots. And whether they do it consciously or unconsciously, they'll keep pressing that button. Think of it like poker. The first person to reveal their hand is the one at a disadvantage. If people can predict how you'll react, they can control you. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So the first rule: recognize when people are testing you and refuse to play the game. Example: imagine you're at work and a coworker makes a sarcastic comment about your recent project, saying, "Oh wow, you finally finished it. Took long enough." An emotional person might get defensive. "What do you mean? I worked really hard on this." Attack back. "At least I don't waste time gossiping like you." But a person who acts unbothered, they just smile and say nothing, or they respond with a simple "yep." Now what happens? The person who made the sarcastic remark feels foolish. They were expecting a reaction, and they got nothing. That's power. Most people feel the need to explain themselves, defend themselves, or react instantly. But intelligent people, they master the power of silence. When someone insults you and you don't react, who looks weak? Them. When someone tries to get a rise out of you and you stay calm, who loses power? Them. When someone expects a reaction and gets nothing, who feels uncomfortable? Them. As Carl Jung put it, a wise man does not chatter about his troubles. Picture a man in a heated argument. His opponent is raising his voice, throwing accusations, trying to provoke him. But instead of reacting, the man simply stares, calm, unshaken, silent. What happens? The person yelling starts to feel uncomfortable. They realize they're the only one losing control. They either back down or look like a fool. Silence makes people second-guess themselves. It forces them to sit in their own discomfort. And most importantly, it shows that you are in control, not them. Why do people get easily offended? Why do they argue over small things? Why do they feel the need to prove themselves all the time? Because of their ego. And here's what Carl Jung revealed. Your ego is not the real you. It's just a mask. A fragile identity you've built to protect yourself from the world. The stronger your ego, the easier you are to offend. The weaker your ego, the less you care about meaningless drama. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Carl Jung. Imagine someone calls you lazy or stupid. If you react angrily, what does it show? That deep down, you believe it might be true. If you shrug it off and continue your day, what does it show? That their words have no power over you. The more secure you are in yourself, the less people can shake you. A powerful person doesn't reveal everything they feel. Most people expose their emotions immediately. Anger when they're frustrated, excitement when they're impressed, sadness when they feel rejected. But when you always show your emotions, you give people a map of your mind. They now know what makes you insecure, what makes you feel validated, what buttons they can push to control you. Instead, practice emotional discipline. Let people guess how you feel. Keep them wondering. Think of the most charismatic people you know. Do they overreact? No. Do they always reveal what they're thinking? No. Their mystery draws people in. They control the energy of the room rather than letting others control them. Your words can lie, but your body always tells the truth. A person who is easily affected gives themselves away through body language. Fidgeting when nervous, clenching their jaw when angry, looking down when feeling insecure. But a person who controls their emotions remains relaxed, unshaken, completely composed. Next time you're in a stressful situation, try this. Instead of crossing your arms, keep them open. Instead of shifting uncomfortably, plant your feet firmly. Instead of avoiding eye contact, hold it, but without aggression. Powerful people don't just control their words, they control their presence. Most people react instantly, they rush to respond, and in doing so, they make mistakes. But the most powerful individuals, they pause. Before speaking, before reacting, before making any big decision. That pause creates a psychological gap, a moment where you regain full control of yourself before choosing your next move. The ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence. Jiddu Krishnamurti. When someone insults you, pause. When someone pressures you for a reaction, pause. When you feel emotions rising, pause. That moment of stillness is what separates the wise from the foolish. Now here are 5 rules that will help you master your emotions and act as if nothing bothers you. Rule 1. Control your face. Control your power. In any social or business situation, your face is a mirror of your emotions. If someone criticizes you and you flinch, they know they struck a nerve. If someone insults you and your eyes widen in anger, they know they got under your skin. That's a weakness. The greatest poker players, CEOs and leaders in history all mastered this. The art of the unreadable face. Think of Vladimir Putin. His face is emotionless in negotiations, making his opponents uneasy. They don't know what he's thinking. He forces them to reveal their own emotions first, giving him control. Think of Kobe Bryant. Opponents tried to trash talk him, but he never reacted. They got frustrated, started forcing bad shots, and lost their mental edge, while Kobe stayed laser-focused. Napoleon Hill once said, "Self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts. If you do not control what you think, you cannot control what you do." Your face should always communicate calm confidence. If someone tries to provoke you, smile. If a boss or client puts you under pressure, stay composed. If you receive bad news, breathe, process, and show no panic. This is psychological warfare. The calmer you appear, the more people second-guess themselves. Rule 2. Speak less, watch more. The man who talks too much loses power. Ever noticed that the most powerful people in a room are usually the ones who speak the least? Think of Warren Buffett. He listens more than he talks, reading people's emotions and reactions. Then, when he finally speaks, people hang on to every word. Think of military interrogations. The first person to start talking is often the one who loses. The quiet man makes the other person feel uncomfortable, forcing them to fill the silence and expose themselves. Carl Jung believed that silence is a weapon. Wise men, when in doubt whether to speak or to keep quiet, give themselves the benefit of the doubt and remain silent. If someone insults you, don't argue, just stare at them with indifference. If people gossip about you, ignore it completely. Your silence makes them feel insignificant. If you're in a negotiation, let the other person speak first. Their words will reveal their weaknesses. The less you say, the more power you hold. Rule 3. Never show weakness under pressure. Ever been in a meeting or a conversation where someone disrespects you in public? Maybe a boss criticizes your work in front of others. Maybe a so-called friend makes a backhanded comment about you. Maybe a stranger tries to test you with a rude remark. Most people react immediately, defending themselves, getting angry, or looking embarrassed. But the most powerful move: stay calm. Look them directly in the eyes. Pause for a few seconds, then either respond with a controlled, unemotional answer or say nothing at all. Silence makes the other person feel uncomfortable, as if they just embarrassed themselves. It forces them to reconsider their actions. Think of Barack Obama. His debates were legendary because he never rushed his response. He let the tension build before speaking, making his words carry 10 times more weight. Napoleon Hill taught that fear and doubt weaken you, not just in your own mind, but in the eyes of others. Fear is a state of mind, and when you control your mind, you control your destiny. And according to Carl Jung, where your fear is, there is your task. When you act as if nothing bothers you, people assume you're in total control, even when you're not. And in life, perception creates reality. Rule 4. Ignore the bait. Weak people react to everything. Someone disrespects them, they argue. Someone offends them, they get emotional. Someone gossips about them, they feel the need to defend themselves. But here's the truth. The moment you react, you've already lost. Carl Jung believed that successful people don't waste energy on pointless battles. You have absolute control over just one thing, your thoughts. This divine gift is the sole means by which you may control your destiny. Napoleon Hill. If someone tries to provoke you, stay indifferent. If someone spreads rumors about you, let your success destroy them, not your words. If someone tests your patience, smile and walk away. Nothing destroys a manipulator more than being ignored. Rule 5. Never explain yourself. Weak men over-explain. Strong men let their actions speak. When you feel the need to justify your choices to everyone, you're seeking their approval, whether you realize it or not. Confidence is silent, insecurity is loud. A strong man makes a decision and stands by it. He doesn't care if others agree or understand. He knows his worth and doesn't need external validation. The world has the habit of making room for the man whose words and actions show that he knows where he is going. Napoleon Hill. When you act as if nothing bothers you, people assume you're in control, confident and certain of your path. And that's how you command respect, without saying a word. Now, we've talked about how to act unbothered and in control. But what about the moments when emotions feel uncontrollable? What happens when you're overwhelmed with frustration, anger, or anxiety? How do you train your mind to remain unshaken, no matter the situation? Stay with me, because next, we're diving into the advanced psychological techniques Carl Jung believed could reprogram your mind for unbreakable resilience. Carl Jung introduced one of the most powerful concepts in psychology, the shadow. The shadow is the hidden part of your personality, the parts of yourself you don't want to admit exist. Your insecurities, your fears, your suppressed emotions. And here's the shocking truth. The things that bother you most in others are usually reflections of the things you deny in yourself. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves, says Carl Jung. Think about it. If someone calls you lazy and you get offended, maybe deep down, you're insecure about your work ethic. If someone disrespects you and you explode, maybe deep down, you don't fully respect yourself. If someone ignores you and it ruins your mood, maybe deep down, you're seeking validation. When you react emotionally to something, it's not about the other person, it's about you. Let's say you're in a relationship and your partner doesn't text back for hours. You start feeling anxious, overthinking, feeling ignored. But why? Is it because they didn't text back? Or is it because their silence is triggering a hidden insecurity inside you, one that was already there? This is the real work, not just acting unbothered, but asking yourself, why does this even bother me in the first place? Because the moment you heal the trigger inside you, the outside world loses its power over you. If you truly want to become unshaken, you need to go beyond controlling your reactions. You need to reprogram your mind at its core. Here's how. 1. Start watching your triggers like a scientist. The next time something annoys you, angers you, or makes you feel insecure, pause. Instead of reacting, observe. Ask yourself, what exactly triggered me? Why did this get to me? Is this reaction about them, or is it about something inside me? If you can analyze your emotions instead of acting on them, you've already won. Because most people, they never stop to question themselves. But the moment you become aware of a pattern, you now have the power to change it. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people. Carl Jung. 2. Reframe every insult as a mirror. Imagine someone insults you. Most people either fight back, which shows weakness, get offended, which shows insecurity. But a truly strong person? They pause, they smile, and they think, interesting, why does this bother me? Because remember, if it's not true, why would you care? If it is true, then you just got free information about yourself. Instead of getting offended, use every insult as fuel for self-awareness. Carl Jung said, "The world will ask who you are, and if you do not know, the world will tell you." 3. Train yourself to find power in stillness. You don't need to react to everything. Silence is powerful. Non-reaction is powerful. Stillness is power. Think of the wisest, most respected leaders in history. Do they overreact? No. Do they seek attention? No. Do they need to prove themselves? No. They speak only when necessary. They act only with intention. And because of that, people listen when they do. Next time someone tries to provoke you, say nothing. Next time someone pressures you for a response, pause. Next time you feel emotions rising, take a deep breath and do not act immediately. Because the strongest person in the room is the one who cannot be shaken. Now let's look at how to craft an unbreakable mask using the Jungian persona technique. Carl Jung didn't just study the persona, he revealed it as the psychological equivalent of a samurai's armor. Not something to hide behind, but a conscious tool for navigating the world without exposing your vulnerable core. Here's how to forge yours. The Persona Construction Kit. Your current persona wasn't chosen. It was cobbled together from childhood defenses and social conditioning. Time to rebuild it brick by brick. The 3-layer design. The surface traits, what people instantly perceive. Choose 3 adjectives you want to radiate. Example, calm, amused, indifferent. Consciously embody these for 30 seconds whenever entering new social situations. The emergency protocols when provoked. Pre-program responses for triggering scenarios. For criticism, respond, "I'll consider that," in neutral tone. For personal digs, give a slow blink plus slight head tilt. For baiting, respond, "You seem very invested in this," with faint smile. The decoy flaw, Jung warned that perfect personas invite attack. Admit one harmless weakness, example, I'm terrible at remembering birthdays, to seem authentic while hiding real vulnerabilities. 2. The shadow integration drill. The persona crumbles when your repressed shadow bursts through. Here's Jung's daily exercise to prevent leaks. Mirror work, Jung's original method. Stand before a mirror at night. Make your dominant emotional face, anger, fear, etc. Hold for 10 seconds while repeating, "This is part of me, not all of me." Wipe face with hands like erasing a mask. Reconstruct your persona consciously. This trains your brain to switch between true emotion and composed exterior at will. 3. The persona maintenance rituals. Ancient warriors maintain their armor daily. Your persona requires the same. This is how you reset daily. Morning 5 minutes power posing while visualizing your persona as a second skin. Midday, 3 deep breaths through the nose before any transition. Meetings, commute, home entry. Night, 10 minutes of shadow time. Unrestrained expression in private. Journaling, art, cursing. The weekly tune-up. Every Sunday ask, where did my persona crack this week? What emotion was I hiding? How can I strengthen this weak spot? So when to shatter your own persona, strategically. The master move? Occasionally losing control on purpose. Use these controlled demolition tactics. In high-stakes negotiations, let one calculated flash of anger show, then visibly compose yourself. This makes opponents think they've seen your limits while you remain in control. With manipulators, pretend to slip and reveal a fake vulnerability. Watch as they waste energy attacking the wrong target. This isn't deception, it's psychological judo. You're using others' expectations against them. At this point, you understand how to control your reactions. You've learned how to use triggers as a mirror for self-growth. You've discovered the power of silence and non-reaction. But now let's go even further. Because there's one more level, the level where nothing outside of you can dictate your emotions ever again. This is the level of true self-sufficiency. Carl Jung believed that most people live in a constant state of external dependency. They rely on other people for validation. They rely on circumstances to feel happy. They rely on relationships to feel complete. But here's the brutal truth. The more you depend on something external to feel whole, the more power you give away. Wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration. Carl Jung. In other words, true peace doesn't come from avoiding pain or seeking distractions. It comes from owning every part of yourself, so that nothing outside of you can control you. 1. Stop seeking validation. No one is coming to save you. One of the biggest reasons people feel bothered by others is because they secretly want approval. You want people to respect you. You want people to acknowledge your worth. You want people to see your value. But here's the problem. If your self-worth depends on how others treat you, you will always be at their mercy. If they approve of you, you feel good. If they ignore you, you feel worthless. This is what Jung calls a fragmented self. Because when you rely on others to tell you who you are, you're not truly whole. You're just a reflection of their opinions. Real strength. It comes when you no longer need validation from anyone. Because when you stop seeking approval, you become immune to rejection. When you stop craving attention, you become impossible to manipulate. And when you stop depending on others for happiness, you become untouchable. He who looks outside dreams. He who looks inside awakens. Carl Jung. This is what it means to be truly self-sufficient. 2. Learn to be alone without feeling lonely. One of the greatest fears people have is being alone. They jump from one relationship to the next. They constantly need to be around people. They distract themselves with noise, entertainment, and social media. Why? Because being alone forces them to face themselves. Carl Jung called this the confrontation with the shadow. It's the moment when you're left alone with your own thoughts, and suddenly, your biggest fears and insecurities start to surface. But here's the thing. If you can learn to be comfortable alone, you unlock a power most people never will. When you can sit in silence without needing distractions, you become mentally unbreakable. When you stop chasing people and learn to enjoy your own presence, you become irresistible. When you no longer fear solitude, you become someone who operates on self-respect, not desperation. This is why the most powerful people in history, thinkers, warriors, philosophers, spent long periods of time in isolation. Because they understood, if you master your mind in solitude, no one can ever control you. As Carl Jung once said, loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. But develop a purpose so strong that nothing else matters. Here's the final key to being completely unshakable. You need a purpose that is bigger than people's opinions. Because the people who are easily affected by others, they have nothing stronger to focus on. If your biggest goal in life is to be liked, you'll always be controlled by what others think. If your biggest goal is to feel comfortable, you'll always avoid challenges. If your biggest goal is to impress people, you'll always be chasing approval. But if you have a purpose, a deep mission that drives you, nothing else can distract you. When you focus on mastering a skill, you stop worrying about critics. When you focus on building something meaningful, you stop caring about petty drama. When you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, you stop needing validation from anyone. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung. This is the final step, not just acting unbothered, not just appearing confident, but becoming so self-sufficient, so deeply rooted in your own mission, that nothing outside of you can shake you. At this point, you've learned how to develop an unshakable mindset. You understand why people trigger you. You've discovered how to remain calm under pressure. You've built a foundation of self-sufficiency that makes you emotionally untouchable. But here's the ultimate test. How do you stay calm in the heat of the moment? Because let's be real, knowing how to control yourself in theory is one thing, but applying it in real life, that's where most people fail. So let's break it down into the 3 most common scenarios where people lose control and how to master them. 1. When someone insults you or tries to humiliate you. Picture this. You're in a conversation and suddenly someone throws an insult at you, maybe in a subtle way, maybe in a direct attack. Most people react in one of 2 ways. They get defensive. That's not true. They lash out. Who do you think you are? Both reactions come from a place of weakness, because the moment you react emotionally, you're letting them control you. Carl Jung had a simple yet powerful insight about this. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. If someone's insult bothers you, it's because, deep down, you already believe it might be true. If someone calls you lazy and it stings, maybe you feel guilty about your productivity. If someone calls you unattractive and it angers you, maybe you have insecurities about your appearance. If someone calls you stupid and it enrages you, maybe you secretly doubt your intelligence. But if you truly know who you are, their words become meaningless. The most powerful response to an insult isn't anger, it's indifference. Laugh it off, not sarcastically, genuinely. Stay silent and let them sit in their own negativity. Agree and exaggerate it. Yeah, I'm incredibly lazy. I've mastered the art of doing nothing. The moment you stop reacting, you strip them of their power. And that's when they realize they never had control over you to begin with. Cool when someone betrays you or breaks your trust. Nothing shakes people more than betrayal. A friend who backstabs you, a partner who lies to you, a family member who lets you down. When this happens, most people feel rage, sadness, or the need for revenge. But Carl Jung teaches us something profound. People don't have ideas. Ideas have people. What does this mean? It means that most people don't even know why they do what they do. The friend who betrayed you? Maybe their own insecurities drove them to jealousy. The partner who lied? Maybe their fear of confrontation made them weak. The family member who hurt you? Maybe they're simply repeating cycles they never healed from. This doesn't excuse their actions, but it explains them. And when you understand why people behave the way they do, you stop taking things personally. Instead of seeking revenge, you let karma do its job. Instead of drowning in bitterness, you move on stronger than ever. Instead of seeing betrayal as a loss, you see it as a revelation of who truly belongs in your life. And that's the most powerful position you can be in. Because now, you're no longer controlled by other people's weaknesses. You see them for who they really are, and you move forward without carrying their burdens. 3. When life throws unexpected chaos at you. Sometimes the biggest test isn't people, it's life itself. A job loss, a health issue, a failed relationship. In these moments, most people break. They panic. They spiral into anxiety. They wonder, why is this happening to me? But Carl Jung had a different perspective. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. In other words, most people believe life is against them, but in reality, life is just showing them what they need to face within themselves. If you lost your job, maybe life is pushing you towards something greater. If your relationship ended, maybe life is revealing that you are settling for less than you deserve. If you're struggling, maybe life is testing whether you truly believe in yourself or not. When you start seeing challenges as lessons instead of punishments, everything changes. Instead of resisting the storm, you learn to dance in the rain. Instead of drowning in fear, you ride the wave of uncertainty. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You ask, what is this teaching me? And that mindset, it makes you truly unshakable. Even after you master emotional control on the surface, there's still a war happening inside you. You might not react to insults, but do you still feel them lingering in your mind? You might walk away from toxic people, but do you still replay their words in your head at night? You might accept life's challenges, but do you secretly question whether you're strong enough to handle them? The final test isn't about what happens outside of you. It's about what's happening inside. What does this mean? It means that even when you appear strong on the outside, your hidden wounds still control you until you face them. And this is where most people get stuck. They become experts at hiding their pain, but they never truly heal it. So now we dive into the last and most crucial step, turning inward and facing what you've been avoiding all along.
Think about it.
How much of what bothers you today is actually a reflection of something from your past? Maybe you get angry when someone disrespects you, but deep down, it's because you grew up feeling unheard. Maybe you fear rejection, but deep down, it's because a past experience made you believe you weren't good enough. Maybe you struggle with trust, but deep down it's because someone you loved once betrayed you. These emotions don't come from nowhere. They are echoes of the past, unfinished business that still lives inside you. Carl Jung referred to this as the shadow self, the part of you that holds all the pain, fear, and insecurities you've buried. Most people ignore it. They keep themselves busy. They distract themselves with work, relationships, entertainment, anything to avoid looking within. But the truth? What you refuse to face will continue to control you. The wounds you ignore will keep bleeding into your present life. The fears you suppress will keep making decisions for you, without you even realizing it. So the question is, are you ready to face your shadow? Because until you do, no amount of external control will bring you true peace. Facing your shadow doesn't mean fighting it. It means understanding it. Carl Jung believed that true healing happens when you integrate your shadow, not suppress it. Here's how you do it. Step 1. Notice what triggers you. Your biggest emotional reactions are a map to your deepest wounds. If criticism triggers you, ask yourself, why do I feel the need to be perfect? If rejection destroys you, ask yourself, where did I first learn that I wasn't enough? If betrayal haunts you, ask yourself, why do I struggle to trust others? Instead of pushing these feelings away, lean into them. They are trying to teach you something. Step 2. Stop running from your feelings. Most people drown their emotions with distractions. They scroll on their phones. They drink, overeat, or jump from one relationship to the next, anything to avoid sitting with themselves. But healing happens when you sit with your emotions instead of running from them. Instead of numbing your pain, ask, "What is this feeling trying to tell me?" Instead of pushing away sadness, ask, "What part of me still needs love and attention?" Instead of ignoring your fears, ask, "What belief is keeping me stuck?" Your emotions aren't your enemy. They are messengers, guiding you to what still needs to be healed. Step 3. Rewrite the story. You tell yourself, every negative emotion is connected to a story you believe about yourself. I'm not good enough. People always leave me. Nothing ever works out for me. These beliefs aren't truths. They are stories your past experiences made you believe. But here's the most powerful thing you can do. Change the narrative. Instead of, "I'm not good enough," say, "I am worthy, regardless of who validates me." Instead of, "People always leave," say, "The right people stay, and I trust that I will attract them." Instead of, "Nothing ever works out for me," say, "Every challenge is shaping me for something greater." Your mind believes whatever you tell it, so choose better stories. When you do this work, when you face your past, integrate your shadow, and rewrite your inner story, something incredible happens. You no longer need to act like nothing bothers you, because nothing truly does. You don't have to control your emotions. They naturally settle into a place of peace. You don't have to pretend to be strong. You become strong from the inside out. Carl Jung once said, "Your visions will become clear only when you look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." And that's the final truth. Most people look outside for control, validation, and peace. But the real power, it's inside. And once you master that, nothing, absolutely nothing, can shake you again.